Hello, it's Dana Dane West. Welcome back to my channel. This is my first tutorial video. I've been having people ask me how do I apply my makeup. So I'm trying to do mini tutorials on exactly how I do it. As you can see, I already did my brows, and that's in another video that should be posting soon. So today I'm going to work on a look that I've kind of had in my head that I want to try, and so we'll be trying together. So if it fails, let's just hope not. So I'm going to start off with placing some concealer on my eye. It's a light color concealer. And I say light because I want the colors to stand out. And because I'm a brown girl, I need a light concealer. It's to give it a flat surface, a plain surface, a lighter surface for the colors to show up on. So I'm going to take my concealer, which is a mixture of my Tarte Shape Tape in the color Deep, and a little bit of my P. Louise in shade 05. And I'm going to just place them on my brush, and I'm going to brush it around my eye. I start off with just placing it all around on my lid, as so. Then I'm going to take a wet sponge. This is a wet beauty sponge, and I'm going to pat it in. And I just want it all to be a nice, even tone all the way around. And I just pat lightly because you don't want the material to all pick up onto your sponge, but you just want a nice, even palette here. All right. All right, now let's go in to the other side, because what we do to one side, we do to the other. Here we go. I'm going to place it all on my lid. Pick up a little bit more here. I'm going to place it all on my lid. And then let's blend it out. This also helps because I have wrinkles on my lids. I am an older lady, so these wrinkles, this concealer helps kind of fill in those wrinkles for me. And I'm probably going to have to go back because as it dries, it'll settle in my wrinkles, and I don't want that. I want it to be a nice, smooth surface when I go to apply my shadow. Let's go back over this one a little bit more. My lids have a tendency to soak up the material right in the middle, so I'm just going to go back in and place a little bit more here. And I'll do the same here. And let's go back in with our sponge and pat it in. There we go. And it gives us a nice, even palette to work on. I like to bring it across the bridge of my nose so that way you don't see a line of demarcation in there. All right, dry out. Another little trick you can do is if you wanted to dry a little faster, you can just take a little bit of translucent powder, some loose translucent powder, and go across your eye. Either that or use a eyeshadow that is the same shade as either your complexion or the base that you're using. So let's let that dry for a minute. And while that is drying, I'm going to see what palette I'm going to use here. I'm probably going to use my Be Perfect palette. This is the Carnival palette from Be Perfect. And these are the colors here. And I'm probably going to use this color, this color, this color, and possibly that color. I'm not sure which one of those yellows I want to try, but let's see how they work. And I need a fluffy brush to start off with. Sorry, my eyes are leaking. My allergies are trying to give me the blues. Just gonna pat this in a little bit more with a fluffy brush. So I want to make sure there's no creasing in my, because you can see it's starting to crease into my wrinkles. So I want to make sure that that's all nice and even and flat before I start my work. All right, let's go. Gonna start off with a nice fluffy brush. We're going to use, let's use the Morphe E23 brush. It's a nice big fluffy brush. It's nice and soft, so it'll give me the sweep that I want. Let me see something. Actually, no, let's do the E27. E27 is a very similar brush, but you can see the head has more of a flattened head to it. So let's use that. And to start off, we're going to go in with Basic, the color Basic, which is this shade here, because it's closer to my actual complexion and the shade that I'm using. So we're going to go in with Basic, and that's going to be my, what we call transition shade. Tap off the excess, and let's go. I'm going to keep it on the upper part of the brow. It's still a little tacky, which is good because you want the shadow to attach. And then I'm going to blend it. And it's going, as you can see, from right where my crease is. This is my crease right here. So it's going to start at my crease and hit my upper brow. I like to pat it in first and then blend it. All right, one more again. Tap off the excess, pat it in, and blend it. Always start light and work your way up, because you can always go back. But once you put on too much, it's hard to go lighter. So it's always to go lighter to dark. All right, so once we did that, let's go to the other side. Got some creasing there. Just pat it out. No problem, just pat it out. All right. Just pat in that color. And again, this is our transition color. And let's blend it into that upper brow. All right. All right. Let me just hit it one more time. Just want to make sure the colors look even on both sides. Raise that eyebrow up to give you more workspace if you have hooded lids. And again, when I say hooded lids, it means that when I relax my eye, my lid creates, I have extra tissue up here, so it creates a hood over my lower lid. See that? Creates a hood. So that's a hooded lid. Some are more hooded, some people don't have that hood. They're blessed. All right, now let's go in with a crease brush because I want to darken in where those creases are. I want to accentuate, and I'm going to because I have hooded lids, I create the facade of a new lid. So that's what we're going to do here. And for that, I want what we call a pencil brush. Let's try this one to start off with. This one is a Morphe M138. And for that, we're going to go in with Rowdy. This is Rowdy here, the darker brown. I'm gonna load my brush up, tap off the excess, and what I'm gonna do is start at the outer corner and just come in and follow my crease. Just windshield wash around my crease area. And just go back and forth and just keep going back in till you get to the darkness or the consistency that you're looking for. And I want mine to be nice and dark. I might have to go in with a even dark, either a darker brown or maybe a black, just to kind of accentuate the area. And I'm dragging this all the way across. You can see it getting darker because I want it real dark. Let's pat it in. Let's pat it in. Give it a little help there. Pat it in and then blend it out. You can see I put my tape here. That'll help. That's my guide. That keeps everything right here. Okay, see how it's getting darker there? Let's add a little bit more. I want it nice and dark because I'm going to, what we do call cut the crease. And I'm going to cut it in and give you the facade of, again, a new crease area. All right, what we do to one side, we do to the other. Start at the outer corner. And the other thing is my fatty tissue starts at 2 different places. So I'm always having to adjust what I do at the end because to make it look like it flows, like it's all the same look. I'm keeping it right in that crease. And because this brush comes to a point, it's easy to keep it right there in that crease area because it just follows your natural crease. All right, now what I'm gonna do is take a clean, fluffy brush, and I'll go back to that first brush that I had, the E23, and I just wanna blend out those edges. So again, it doesn't look like it's harsh edges stopping right there. Just softens the edges up. Let's soften these edges up. I'm gonna brush this off a little bit. And soften them up. This side looks a little darker to me, so I'm just going to add a little bit more. And buff it out. All right, I want to add another color to the upper portion of that lid, and I want to add a yellow. And I'm going to go in with the color Keen, and I'm going to use the brighter of the 2 yellows simply because I'm mixing it in with the brown, and I don't want it to look muddy. So for that, I'm going to take my same brush that I did my crease with, just gonna clean it off, and I'm going to tap into the yellow. I wanna pick up a good amount because yellow, I need it to stand out. And let's go across. You're just gonna go across the area that you did, that you just fluffed out. Don't worry about adding too much because you could always go back in with your brown. It's going to be, at this point, a back and forth trying to make the color stand out. Okay. See that yellow? I'm going to pat it in now because I want it to stand out a little bit more. All right. Now I'm going to go back in with my blending brush. and blend it out. Okay, now let's go back to the brown. Add a little more of the dark brown, just a little. You just want to make it the color come back. You see that? Just brought the color back without taking away from the yellow. Now let's do the other side. Yellow. Blend it out. Add some more. Blend it out. See, if I would have used more of a white base, it would have stood out even more. But I wanted it to be subtle for this look. I didn't want it to be so bold. And we're going to add some more yellow and blend it out. Blend it out. See, this side stands out a little bit more. So I'm going to go back and add some more to the other side. Because I don't want my look to be lopsided. Okay, take my blending brush and blend it out. Blend it out. See that? And I'm going to take the same brown. I didn't add any more to it. I just want to try to bring some of that color back. I'm just going to use whatever was left on the brush. All right. Now, because I want that crease just a little bit darker, I'm going to take, let's take this, I'm just going to take a little smaller brush. I want something with a narrow tip. Let's go with this one. This again is a Morphe brush. It's a M506 brush. Small head. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take just a little bit darker. It's more of a burgundy shade because I just need something to get in here to darken this area a little bit more for me. So when I cut into this area, I don't lose any depth. All right. Let's do this side. I'm keeping it in my crease area. Keeping it in the crease. All right, my blender, blend it just lightly. You're just lightly going across and blending it. That way it looks like one color fades into the other. All right, here's where the fun begins. Let's cut the crease. For cutting the crease, I am going to use, I need another flat brush. So for that, I'm going to use my Morphe M421. It's small, it's flat, and I can control wherever I want the material to go. So let's see, I'm going to use, I think I'm going to use my P. Louise base 0. It's white. Because I'm using orange, I want it to pop. So let's use the white base. I'm going to place this on the back of my hand because I need it nice and warm. Need about that much to do both eyes. Easiest way to cut a crease is you take some, put it on your brush, swipe across the lid of your eyelid there, look up, roll your eye around, and that marks where your crease is going to be. I'm going to come in a little bit. So that tells me where my crease line is going. And you just want to take small strokes and kind of connect those dots there. Put a little bit more on here. Now, my lids, as I told you before, are not the same. So for this lid, I'm going to come up just a little bit more because my lid is higher on that side. So I'm just going to bring this up just a hair. And what this does is allows you to still see the color on my lid when my eyes are closed. I mean, excuse me, when my eye is open. And let's fill it in. Small, easy strokes, because you don't want to mess up. So you could just pat, just tap around. All right, a little bit more. I'm not going to take it all the way to the end. I'm just going to take it almost to the end, about right there. And I'm just going to pat it because I want a nice smooth surface again. Because if not, you'll have clump. Your eyeshadow will look clumpy. All right, and I'm going to go back in with my little sponge and pat it in because I want it nice and smooth. Now another little trick is on the end, I just drag my shadow color that I already used into that area, and it kind of transitions that little area a little better. All right, let's do the other side. I brought that color up a little bit, so let me go back in. Just even that out a little bit. Even that back out a little bit. See, we fixed it. No problem. All right, let's do the other side. Swipe across the lid. Roll your eye up, and there's your mark. And I'm just going to connect the dots. Now we sometimes have to go back to the other side to make sure that they're even. So far they look pretty even to me. And tap, tap, tap. And let's bring it on down. Oh, you can see I messed it up. It's okay. Like I said, we could always correct it. You just want it to look nice and evenly rounded. Let's drag it on, pat it in. Pat it in. Go back to our sponge and even it out. Just do any little corrections that you might see, little imperfections. And just pat it out. Drag in the other color. And don't worry about how it looks because you're going to come back and fill that area in anyway. All right, now let's go in with our orange. This color is called Lit. For that, I'm going to use going to start off with that small brush again because I want to go in, I want to get to the inner corner and I want to do it without messing up and going out of the lines best I can. So let's load our brush. I'll start on this side. You know what? I'm going to leave some space because I want to go back in with that yellow again, actually. All right. Look at that. Look at that orange. Wow. And you just want to pat it all around. This is a matte. It doesn't have any shine to it. This is a matte color. So with matte, you want to pat them in. Anything with a shine to it or a shimmer, you want to drag that on your eye. Let's fill this in. Now this is a what they call a pressed pigment. They tend to show up more bright on the eye. And as you can see, I think you can see when I first apply it, it almost looks wet and it dries up. And that's what pigments do. It's like a loose powder. And let's place that there. And let's go to the other eye while we let that dry a little bit. Because I'm going to come back in there because I'm going to brighten it up some more. Let's pat this out again. I want it nice and smooth. And let's work in that pigment. Load the brush off. If you notice, I'm not tapping the brush off this time. I want that pigment loaded up on that brush. I want it loaded up because I want that pigment to really show. All right. All right, let's go back in. This time I'm going to use a larger shadow brush. As soon as I find one. Shadow, shadow, shadow. Let's use this one. It's the BH Cosmetics one. This is a shadow brush. See, it has a rounded head. It has a longer base to it. And they come in longer and shorter, but this one should work fine. I'm gonna pick up that color. Oh no, went in the wrong color. I'm gonna go back in with that orange, load up my brush, and come back again. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's really picking up brighter. All right, now let's do our inner corner. Inner corner, we're gonna use that yellow. We're gonna go back in with that same yellow. If I can stop dropping my brushes. I'm gonna load that brush up. I'm only gonna use the tip, mostly the tip of that brush. And let's come back in the inner corner. See that? And just pat, pat, pat. And I'm just gonna brush it out a little bit so it blends into the orange. Let's go a little bit more. Pat, pat, pat. And brush it out. So it fades into it. Okay, see that? Let's do the other side. Pat, pat, pat. And brush it out. Let's do it again. Pat, pat, pat. And brush it out. Okay? And just a little bit more here. Seems to stand out a little bit more on the other side. So let's do the pat, 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 and brush it out. All right, that's a little better. Okay, let's brush that off. Now I need a darker shade right there. So I think I'm gonna go back in with that, it's called Liquor, but it's that darker shade. I'm just gonna finish filling that outer V area in. I'm just gonna pack it all in here. Then let's go back in with my blender. Make sure it's clean. And fluff them together. It's just gently brushing it until it looks like they just kind of melt into each other. Okay. Just want to go back in with just a little bit of that orange because I think I lost a little. Tap that off. All right. Now, when we do to one side, we do to the other, right? So let's go back in with Liquor, which is a dark burgundy color, actually. Let's fill it in. A little bit more. And let's blend it. Okay. Not bad. Not bad. All right. Now, I really want to see if I could just deepen the orange and the yellow just a little bit more because that's me. So I want to go with a goat hair. I'm going to see if that picks it up a little bit more. Let's start with the lighter color, the yellow. Tap off the excess and pat it in. Yeah. I like it a lot. Tap the excess. Come on in. Come on in. Tap off the excess because if not, you'll have powder flying everywhere. Let's clean that off a little bit and let's come back in with the orange. And blend it out. Let's do the other side. Come back in with the orange. And blend it out. Okay? And that's how we do the eyes. I want to blend up top just a little bit more. I want to come in a little bit of the first brown we used and just give that just a little more something. All right. Next, let's do a wing. That's just me. I like a wing. What am I going to use for my wing? Let's see. I think I will use my Inglot 77 and a lining pencil. La, 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 la. Not that one. Let's see, let's see. Give me a good one. Let's use this one. This is a Morphe 217. And I'm gonna go in with my Inglot 77. Inglot 77 is a black liner. It's a gel liner. Inglot. Open it up so you can see what it looks like. It always has the foil shield. If you ever use these, keep the foil. Helps prolong the life of them. And because it's a gel, it doesn't exactly glide across the eye like I like for it to do. So instead, I'm going to use what's called Duraline. Duraline, where's the name? Not that you can see it, but it's Duraline. And I'm just going to take, and what this does is it takes the product from a gel to a liquid to back to a gel. So I'm just going to place a drop on my Inglot. I'm going to mix it in. And I'm going to dip my brush in. I'm going to brush off the excess. Now this is where my tape comes in, because my tape is my guide for my wing. And I'm going to start off at the corner and just light strokes draw on my wing. Oh, I don't think this brush is a good one. Nope, I'm going to switch brushes. This one is too out of control. I want a nice thin one. Let's go with, this is a straight one, but this is a Morphe 250. It's very small, very thin, easy to control. So let's pick up some more material. And let's trace this out again. All right. And what I like to do is steady hand. I always balance my hand on my face. And that's why I do my eyes before I do my face, because I need to balance. And if I already have my foundation and everything on, I'm going to put fingerprints all in it. So I like to do my eyes. And if there's any fallout from the shadows, I could easily brush it right off. So let's go back in with this gel. And I'm going to trace very carefully right across my lash line. Easy strokes. And what I do is I kind of stare straight ahead. This was so hard to learn how to do because I blink. All right, so what I did is I brought it over to meet over here. I came down a little too far with my tape, not a problem because I could easily clean that up at the end. Let's take a little more gel, and I don't go all the way to my inner corner. I just come just a little bit, like right where the tear duct stops, and I start to bring it up. And here's where I drag it. If I can get enough on there. I drag it gently across, and I go straight across. And it will meet up at the tape. And then you just go and fill it in. Now here I came up a little too high. And like I said, because I have that extra little piece of meat there, so nothing that I can't fix. So I just gentle strokes, and you just want to fill it all in. Just fill it in. You know how we did in kindergarten. Stay inside the lines, fill it in. And there's my wing. See that? Just gonna take this down just a little bit. Okay. Now, when we did the one side, we gotta do to the other. Start at the inner corner and make my line. Then I come back here and trace my lash line. Fill it in, all the little spaces. All right. Now we're going to come back and come across the top. Drag it across to meet the end. Fill it in. There's my wing. All right, now because this is a gel, what I like to do, sorry, my eyes keep watering on me, is go back in with something that's like a powder. So you could use an eyeshadow, and I like to use my Urban Decay's Blackout. It's a black powder, and I use my same brush, just gonna wipe it off a little to get some of the gel off of it. And I'm gonna take some on my brush. I'm just gonna load it up on my brush and just tap it along where I just laid that gel. What this does is it sets it, dries it out for you. That way it won't go anywhere and it won't smudge. Okay, let's do the other side. All right, that is filled in. All right, next step is lashes. Oh joy. All right, remember to put your lid back on your Inglot because it will dry out. Unless you have $18 to keep buying new ones. All right, so let's get my lashes going here. I'm going to use a pair that I already have out. And these are the one lashes I'm going to use. And these are from a company called Candy Lashes. Let's take these off and we're going to add a little glue. I love Duo glue. This particular one has vitamins in it. That's why I like to use this one. There you go. The one with the green writing, and it has a wand to brush the glue onto the lashes. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take your glue and just run it across the band. Just run it across the band. But make sure you have enough glue on it to hold. And I like to put an extra dab on the ends because that's where it always likes to come up. All right, and you're gonna let that sit. And then you're gonna do the other lash. Make sure I keep the correct eyes. I don't wanna put them on backwards. Because folks be talking about you. All right, so let's put glue on the other lash. And put a good little stream across it. Because you want it to stick. You don't want that bad boy coming off in the wind. And let's do a little extra dab on the ends. And let it sit. They usually take 30 seconds, they say. Give or take. In the meantime, I'm going to put a little bit of on my lips because they get a little dry. All right. Now, While that's doing that, sometimes you get powder or the shadow on your lashes. So before you put on your artificial lashes, I like to come across with some mascara. No particular one. I just grabbed the first one that was sitting in my drawer. This one is by Maybelline. I like this wand, though. It has kind of a curvature to it. So let's go across those lashes with it. And it just brings your natural lash out, and at the same time, it brushes any of the extra powder off of your lashes. Do the other side. I am very squeamish around my eyes, so learning to work with things for my eyes took a long time. Don't like messing around my eyes. Then I like to take a smaller wand to do my 6 to 10 lower lashes. Try to get them to stand out a little more. I'll probably come back to these lower lashes because I may try to put a color on the lower lid. Not very successful usually with that, but I'm going to give it a whirl just for the look. Okay. All right, let's get those lashes before the glue dries. So to do your lashes, the easiest thing to do is take your lashes. You could use tweezers. Some people do it without tweezers. I'm going to tilt my camera so you can see what I'm doing. I take a little handheld mirror. And what I do is I look down into the mirror. This is my left eye. So I look down into the mirror and I land that lash right across my lash line in the middle. Pull the end and you're just laying it right across your lash line. And just kind of press that lash onto your eye to make it stick. Oh, it's another reason why I don't do lower shadows, because my eyes just always want to leak. Press that onto your lash. I'm gonna let that sit, and when it dries a little more, I'm gonna squeeze that lash into my natural lash line. And let's head down and let's, something on it, hang on. All right, let's land that lash. It makes it tacky. You want you want the glue to become tacky. You don't want it wet because it will get into your eye. And your eyes will glue shut. And it's not a cute look. Push that lash onto the eye. Adjust as needed. I'm sorry, my allergies are just not acting nice right now. See, lashes. All right. Let that dry a little bit more. And and because my eyes want to leak, sometimes that glue doesn't want to perform the way it should. All right. Let's see if I can get this to work right. I like this little tool to help press my lashes in. When I can get it to not stick together. Sometimes my lashes, the glue will want to stick to my little tool. It does, just wipe it off. Either that or keep a little bit of water. You could dip it in there and it'll keep it from sticking. A little trick I learned. All right. And there we have lashes, darling. All right, let's remove the tape and see what we got. It's probably gonna be smeared because my eye is watering now. Oh, let me grab a wipe. It's gonna clean up around the eye a little bit. And you could just drag that and clean up anything, make it nice and straight. Any excess that's there, you just clean it up. Say that. All right. Let's do some foundation. And I didn't pull my foundation out. Shame on me. When I do foundation, I like to start off because it gets a little dark under here. It gets dark. So what I'm going to do, and when you're doing your eyes, don't ever wipe. Actually, just kind of pat. When you're drying something, just pat it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a concealer that is a shade or two lighter than me. So I'm going to again take my Tarte Shape Tape and I'm going to pat that up under my eye. And what that's going to do is try to hide any dark areas that I may have. We're not even going to talk about that little area there. I don't know. I tried drinking water. I don't know what it comes from. It's there, okay? So we just going to deal with it. All right. You're going to let that sit, and then we're going to pat it in. And for that, I like to use a brush that I don't have in front of me, but I'm going to substitute. I'm going to use this one, concealer brush. All right, so then I'm going to start begin wherever I started first, so it doesn't sit too long. I'm just going to pat that in, and I'm going to tilt my head down because I wanted to, again, fill in any wrinkle areas that I had. I'm going to work that all around my eye, being careful not to, so I'm just using flicks, being careful not to interrupt any of the work that I've already done. All right, let's do the other side. Patting it into my under eye. And flick. Because again, you don't want to, once you put your makeup on, you don't want it to be able to see where this concealer stopped. You want everything to be nice and smooth. Let's get around the mouth. I'm going to work a little faster because it's starting to dry. And this I'm going to press in because I don't want it to thin out. So I'm going to press it into those areas where it's more dark, where I have those dark spots. I'm just going to press it in. I'm going to blend out the edges though. I'm going to press that in. I'm going to add a little bit more right there. Gently pat it in. I don't know, I just... All right, buff out those edges. All right, that was concealer. That again gives me a canvas, a nice even canvas to work on. Okay, before I put my foundation on. All right, now what foundation I'm going to use? I think I will, excuse me. I'm gonna use my Kat Von D. My Kat Von D, because it's full coverage, which means it's supposed to look just, cover everything. It's not going to leave, it's not a thin, it's a thicker foundation, so it just kind of covers everything. It canvases everything. This one is in the shade Deep 76, and it's warm, considered warm. Shake it up. Shake it up, baby. Twist and shout. My foundation brush. I go through a lot of brushes, and this is why I spend my weekends cleaning brushes. All right, I'm gonna squirt some on the back of my hand. For a full face, I usually do about 2. Sometimes I might go back in, depends on how the face is acting today. Dip my brush, and let's make some dots. Let's make some dots. I'm gonna put some extra where my spots were, and then let's blend it out. When you're blending out, you wanna start from the middle of your face and blend out. Around the eyes, I pat it in. Just want to blend it out all over. Don't worry about how it looks initially, because it goes through a phase where the color will change. As it oxidizes, it starts to look more and more like your shade. I drag mine down to my neck because you want everything to seemingly be seamless. Again, pat it around the eyes. And you want it to go, just kind of brush it into just the hairline. All right, I'm gonna add a little more down here. I said a little, didn't I? All right. Isn't that beautiful? It's beautiful. Okay, that's foundation. Matching your shade is a whole nother video for a whole nother day. All right. So now let's take and I'm gonna wipe my hands. That's what I'm gonna do. Wipe all this stuff off my hands because I will get it everywhere. I promise you, I will. So the next step is to highlight. Now there's 2 types of highlights. When I say highlight in this situation, I mean you want to make wherever the light hits you want to make that bright, because without that, your face just kind of looks flat. So you highlight those areas to give it, to make your face pop a little more, to make it look sun-kissed and to make it look like it's 3D. So I'm going to go in with another concealer. This time I'm going to use, what am I going to use? I think I'm going to use e.l.f. Cosmetics. And you want to go in with a shade lighter, because when the sun hits it, it brightens that area. So you want to go with a shade lighter than your complexion. And I'm going to go in with number 9. Juvia's Place, number 9, engine number 9. I had it upside down for you all, but that's okay. You get the idea. Now, some people take it and go all over. I just try to keep it in a V and then pat it out. And I take it on my forehead, because you can see the light hitting it. So everywhere you see the light hitting is where I want my concealer to go. And do I want to use this shade? No. Actually, I'm going to go a little bit lighter, because this one is closer to me. What is this? This is 14. That's too light. Let's go with 10. Actually, I'm going to go with number 10 instead. I'm going to take my wand and I'm going to make a V. And just kind of fill it in, drag it a little bit. Some people like more. I just wanted to do the job. All right, now let's go down the bridge of my nose and the forehead. Let's do Cupid's bow and the chin. So what I'm going to do now is take my larger beauty blender and I'm going to start blending that out. I just want to pat it in. You're pressing it. You're pressing it into your skin. And you bring it out. It shouldn't go really too much past your brow. And you just want to pat that all in. Careful around your eyes. You don't want to mess up your work that you just did. I drag it down. Let's go up the nose. Squeezing my blender because I want to keep it right there on the bridge of that nose. Then you do the forehead, or 8 head, or 6 head, whichever one you have. You just want to pat it in, pat it into the skin real good. And then the chin. Just pat it all in real good. And then what I like to do is go back in with my brush, since most of the foundation is gone, and fluff out those edges. Just buff those edges out. Okay. Now, contour. Contour, I usually do a gel, excuse me, a cream contour, but for this look, just to kind of show you, I'm just going to use a powder. And this one is again by Black Radiance. That's the palette there. And I'm going to use this darker shade here to contour. And what contour is, we brought in the light, so now we're going to bring the shadowing and the depth back into our face. Excuse me. Drainage is drainage. Don't get a hyper, okay? It's drainage. All right, I'm going to dip my brush in and I'm going to just kind of drag down my nose on both sides. And that'll give my nose that snatched look. Okay. And I want to drag it and just kind of blend it into the skin. Drag it down the nose. It creates a shadowing effect. I like to drag it into the corner of my brow. See, it makes your nose look a little slimmer. Oh, that's not cute. Oh. No, don't worry. Have no fears. There's a fix. See, messing with y'all. Oh. Messed my nose. All right, let's blend that out. All right. Now let's do the forehead. I like to just put a couple dots going around the forehead. And then for your cheek line, you want to define your cheek areas. So suck it in and follow that line. It should start at your ear and drag it down. Drag it down. And I like to do my jawline. Drag it down. All right. So then I'm going to take a brush for blending in that contour. I'm trying to see what brush do I want to use. Could use a contour brush, but I don't know if I want to. Let's try this one. This one's nice and fluffy. For this one, you want to blend up. Don't blend down. You want to across and up. Then you're going to blend it into your dots. Now this is to bring your forehead down. So if you got a big forehead, you want to come in. So if you're fine with your forehead where it is, then don't bother with it. But I want to bring my forehead in so it doesn't look like it's large. You know, you get flashbacks to your childhood and you got a big forehead. All right. And that gives it, let's do this side and blend it up. Blend it up. All right. If you don't want to use contour, you could also use what's called a bronzer. It does the same thing, but it just makes you look a little more sun-kissed. Now for this area, I blend, but I bring it down. Help get rid of that extra jawline there. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Blend it and bring it down. Blend it out and bring it down. See? That's how we fool y'all. All right. Now, because we used cream, we have to set it. So let's go back in with a setting powder. For this, I am going to use, I think I'm going to use my, this isn't a translucent powder, is it? Nope. I am going to use my, ask me to pronounce it. Ciate. I know Cayate. That I know. Don't ask me why I know it. Because I heard it a lot. All right, this powder, it's a translucent powder. You can see it's light. So what I'm going to do, tap a little bit into my lid. You can't see it because my light is right there. Maybe, yes, maybe. Focus, there ya go. All right, and I'm gonna take my Beauty Blender. I'm gonna tap my Beauty Blender. And then I'm going to set what I just did. Just patting it in. The other side, just patting it in.